Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? I have Jordan of the amazing band Pressing Strings. I had the delightful opportunity to watch them open for a band that I've loved for a long time, and now I have a new band to fall in love with. It's one of the reasons why I tell everybody, doesn't matter who you bought the ticket for, make sure you're there for all the performers. And I was blown away when I saw you and had to talk to you after the show and have you on my show. So first, I just want to say thank you so much for rocking my fucking world.
Oh, of course, man. Thanks for having me. That was a fun show. Um, yeah, that was opening for Ode, the Wet Sprocket, wasn't it?
Yeah, at the Newton Theater.
At the Newton Theater. That was a good one, man. Newton, New Jersey. I'd never been out there before, but I like it out there.
Yeah, cool little town tucked away out in the mountains. You know, Jersey gets a bad rap because everyone flies into Newark. But there's a lot of beautiful places to be around here. So, yeah, it was.
I'm from New Jersey, actually.
Are you
I
from
was
that area or southern?
I'm from like central New Jersey, like North Kendall Park is, South
Okay,
Brunswick.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I grew up there till I was 10 years old.
All right, nice.
Yeah.
So you've seen some of the beauty. That's farmland country, pretty much down in that area. Um,
Yeah. I
there's
didn't realize that when I was little, but it is. I
yeah,
go back now, I'm like, wow, this is rural.
yeah. People don't realize there's like three sections to Jersey. There's North Jersey, Central Jersey, and South Jersey, and they're all their own fucking world. Like it's crazy when people actually come and start to see. Once they come out here and see the different areas, they're like, "Oh wow, Jersey isn't as bad as people make it out to be in their music." I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's not terrible."
We haven't really toured very much in Jersey, which is kind of weird because there's so many people, and I don't know why that is, but I'm looking to get into Jersey a lot more.
Well, I hope you do, so I get to see you more. Again, I was absolutely blown away by your soulful voice and your amazing accompanying band behind you, and it just resonated differently with me, especially when I can sit back and close my eyes, and it was transcendent to a different place, and I wasn't ready for it. But again, thank you for it, because
That's
otherwise I
amazing.
never would have heard you guys, and that's why we do what we do here. I if I hadn't seen you, I may have never come across you, because in the musical world we live in right now, it's so fucking hard to find the good ones, right?
But there's so much out there. Yeah, it's it's hard from our end of things too to like yeah to connect and like get heard and get um people to pay attention. Because they a lot of times and I'm probably guilty of it too. You stick to your own like sort of bubble of music that you like and you can go back to and get that same feeling. But yeah, if somebody doesn't show you a new band or if you don't see them live, it's kind of hard these days.
And you've played a lot, you've toured a lot, you've played with some great bands that have a history behind it. Have you, after doing something like that, besides just me and you being here today, have you
Mhm.
found like a different connection or a different vibe or a flow with your music and different sales and streams when you do have that opportunity to open for a bigger band instead of maybe playing locally to the people who are going to come and see you all the time because they're huge fans of yours?
Totally, yeah. I mean, that's a big reason why you sort of take the chance, and the opener never really gets paid a whole lot, so you go in with the mindset that you're gonna try to give it your all and win over some the people, and so you can go back to that spot that you're touring, and you can keep going back to it and keep building it and building it and building it. So yeah, it's definitely like I love that. I love going and having like a blank slate and having uh people go into the show not knowing who you are at all, and then trying to like kind of win them over. That is like part of the coolest thing about touring and playing live music is just kind of like trying to form that connection and the sort of the challenge of doing that. And it doesn't always work. Um, each show is always different. Sometimes the sound guy does not give a fuck. Just kind of like, just kind of like, oh yeah, you're the opener. Who gives a shit? Uh, but sometimes the stars do align, and the bigger the band, usually the better off you are. And I'm pretty picky about who we play with as well, just because I don't want to go and play for a crowd that I think is not going to be into us. If it's a totally different style of music or something.
Yeah, like
So
you opening for Nine Inch Nails, you don't think you would do that, you know?
we'd have to change our approach up a little bit for that
Yeah.
one.
Now, for you, I mean, I've read your story. I've done all my research on you, and I want to start at the very beginning of your life and how music impacted you and how it first came into your life. Do you
Hmm.
remember a sound or a band or an artist as a child that kind of made you hear hear music for the first time instead of just having it fodder in the background?
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm a child of the '90s, and so I can remember vividly like my grandma like coming over to like watch us to babysit us. Me and my two brothers, and it would be like me and her in one room, just kind of like listening to music that she liked, and she was a old white woman from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, so it wasn't very you got what you got. But
Yeah.
I remember her playing Whitney Houston and me being like, what the hell is that? Like, how is somebody singing like that? And I can remember being like lit up by it and being like, whoa, man, she's like not from this planet. Um, that was like I have a vivid memory of that and listening to Whitney Houston, which is a pretty funny memory, and considering what type of music that I make now. But yeah, I mean, and another one that was funny, child of the '90s. Like I remember just being like, I loved Michael Jackson when I was like like 5 years old. I thought it was like the coolest thing in the world, which everybody else did too. But
Well, yeah, it was the biggest thing in the world. I'm a '80s and '90s child, so that was always on, and for some reason, every single there was not one person that didn't like it. You know what I mean? It was
I
just
know.
that raw of a thing that everyone liked it. Even my parents who were doo wop and folk music listening
Hmm.
around the house or Bob Seger or something. They even liked Michael Jackson. It was just a completely different direction to have someone like that, the king of pop. That's why it was called the king of pop.
Yeah.
I'll talk about his music fondly. We won't talk about anything else in his life, but
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but like I just remember from then on, I remember just sort of being like having like this obsessive thing about music and about um, singers and bands to just like, I would just sort of like obsess over it and like, read. And that this was the days when CDs were kind of new, and so you would get the album notes and the lyrics and stuff like that. And I would just like, I had this little cubby underneath my bunk bed where I had this little like listening area where I could just go and kind of be in my personal like sandbox, so to speak, and just kind of like unwind and go somewhere else.
now doing that, when was it? And do you remember when you started to venture out to find your own music and what you started to gravitate towards?
um, well, yeah, I mean, you would get CDs as gifts back then, like like birthday gifts or any kind of holiday gifts. Like the top 40, best
Yeah,
selling CDs. I remember getting, we all probably had the same records.
yeah. As long as it didn't have the parental advisory sticker on the front, right?
I had to sneak those ones. Yeah, yeah. That's probably when I started like searching out my own stuff, is when I could like start to like sneak music and like be like, oh, I like this, and I don't need to ask for it. I can just go get it myself.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember sneaking. My first sneak was Beastie Boys' "License to Ill." That was my first sneak.
yeah, I got that one taken from me. I got caught.
Yeah, I got it taken from me as well. I had to trade it in for Michael W. Smith, a Christian rock singer.
We traded
They made
again.
me.
That's a solid trade.
Yeah, they made me trade. They made me get rid of it and trade it for something. So
That's funny, man. Yeah, but I mean, that was like in a way that was when I first started seeking out stuff that I you know I was into. But then, as ironic as it is, when turned I don't know how old you are, but I know the when I was about, I don't know, 10 or 11 years old, there was uh everybody started having computers, and shortly after, Napster came along where you could steal music, and I didn't have much of a morality about it back then. Nobody else did really. So I remember, I remember using that in Napster and like, all the digital download stuff to sort of build this library of songs that I had heard or something on the radio, like, or I remember just being able to type in like certain lyrics that I remembered from songs. I didn't know who sang it, what the song was, when it was written or released or anything like that. But I just remember always having sort of like a mind to uh remember like lyrics and sort of melodies and changes and stuff like that. And so um that was kind of my my way to escape as well back then when that first hit, and a way for me to sort of build what I actually liked and sort of um put together my musical personality. And then I started learning those things on guitar, and that's kind of how I taught myself guitar too.
So that was all you. You picked up a guitar. Was there? I mean, I grew up. I was. You asked. You didn't know how old I am, but I was born in the '70s. So for some reason, every house had an acoustic guitar and a piano in it. So
Hmm.
was that your life as well? Like, there just happened to be a guitar there, and that's what you gravitated towards.
Yep. Well, I'm the youngest of two boys, so we had a beater guitar that usually had about two strings on it. That I remember. Yeah, I remember early on I could sort of pick out melodies with the two strings, and just by playing it by ear and just figuring it out. And then yeah, once I turned, I think I got my first guitar when I was like 13 years old or something like that, and that's when I started to like really get into it. And I had a buddy who showed me a couple things, and that's when guitar tablature was, the thing. You download it off the internet and printed it out. Yeah, but there was always I didn't really exact. It's weird because a lot of my family, everybody in my family except my dad uh, is very musical and can sort of pick things out by ear. Um, but I'm the only one who ever sort of approached it as a career or as a songwriter. So it was always kind of like we all kind of like had it, and we all shared music and loved music, but we didn't really share it. We didn't really like play music together or anything like that. It was more like something I went and did on my own. Yeah.
Now, doing that on your own, and I know as a kid when I started trying to play instruments and do things, the first thing I did was like rush out and try to find other people that were doing it as well and try to start that band that you usually spent more time on the name and design of it than you did playing music together.
Yeah.
What did you do that, or did you just quietly stay in your room like an Elliott Smith and keep it
Oh
to
yeah, it's
yourself?
much more the keep it to myself type. I didn't really sing in front of anybody until uh probably until I was in like college or out of high school, because yeah, I just kind of it was like my little thing that I used to do to kind of get my mind right and like be able to go into my own space and do that. And then I was more of a, I guess, a jock, you could call me back then. Some would say even like a meathead. I was just kind of like football player, basketball player. Um, and I was pretty good at that stuff, so I just kind of kept going with that until that ended, and I just kind of lost the love for it, and found more of the love with songwriting and playing music. And Pressing Strings is the first band I ever had. So yeah, I didn't
Wow.
really have bands growing up.
Wow, that's now what was it that pushed you to take that venture and sing or play music in front of strangers for the first time?
Well, I went to so I ended up injuring my shoulder playing football and basketball and stuff in high school, my senior year of high school. So, um, and I was getting recruited to play at like a D3 school, Salisbury University, and so Um, the summer before I went to college, I had surgery on my arm, so I actually went to college in a sling, and I had like this probably, 5 month period where I was just kind of like trying to make the sports thing work and trying to recover, and I had a lot of downtime where I was just kind of like, trying to trying to help my shoulder out, and it actually helped my shoulder to start playing guitar a little bit more. And I remember it was the first time I didn't have like somebody telling me what to do or where to go and all that sort of thing. So I remember sort of it it clicking for me and me realizing like, oh, I can like I'm starting to be able to sing and play these songs at the same time, and it sounds pretty good. And so I started going to like open mics and stuff like that. They would have a couple open mics here and there, and it just became more of my, I guess, my identity to sort and like what my passion would become.
Do you remember the first time and how you felt when you played in front of, your first ever show
Yeah,
or open mic in front of strangers? Do you remember that?
yeah, I do remember that. I remember I was nervous as hell. I remember I probably said some dumbass stuff on the mic. But yeah, I forget what song I played. But what's funny about that is my now wife, was there when the first time I ever did it. Um,
Wow.
and I didn't even know her at the time. But yeah, so hey, look, it worked. So
It did. I'm and that's that everything happens for a reason. At the time you probably hurt your shoulder for a reason. You didn't know what it was. All that kind of stuff. The fucking universe is so fucking crazy. If you start
totally.
backtracking and putting things together, you're like, oh shit, without this, I met my wife the same thing. I blew out my knee and I was going for surgery the following day, and all my friends wanted to take me out before, and just hang out and be with me because they knew I was going to be laid up for a couple months. And
Hmm.
I met my wife that night. Other than that,
Really?
I wouldn't have been there. So it's crazy
Yeah,
how the world fucking works.
yeah. You have these things that sort of send you on a different trajectory than what you would normally would have done. And yeah, that's kind of, I mean, I feel like if you just approach everything from the gut, it usually works out. That's kind of what I put my trust in, and just like sort of feel like if you rely more on like your instincts, um, it'll usually work out for the best to what you actually want, and
Yeah,
it'll attract the right things.
I'd say it worked out pretty well for you so far. So
Yeah, man, I'm happy. Uh, it's cool. The music industry is crazy, but it's cool.
yeah, I mean that's a whole nother show if we want to dive into the dark web of the fucking music industry because
Oh,
it's so tough. And we're in that I call the Alexa skip world, where someone can hear three notes and just fucking say Alexa skip and just be gone with it instead of giving anything a chance. Like when you grew up and I grew up, and when CDs were fucking $20, you were committed to that fucking to falling in love with it because you weren't going to get another
yeah.
$20 for a while to go get one. So
Which sometimes sucked because a lot of times those albums were filler. There were like two good songs on the album, and
well,
the rest was just like, oh man, they could have made an EP instead of
yeah.
a full length record.
There's
uh,
a lot of that, and that's when like double albums in the '90s started. You had Smashing Pumpkins, what Melancholy. And you're like, all right, there's one good album out of this double disc that I had to pay double for. So
we spent $1 million in the studio making this record. It's crazy how much money they used to dump into that and music videos and everything, and just the amount that it's changed from then till now is just so fucking mind blowing.
yeah, I have a younger niece and nephew, and they talk about like DIY scenes and oh, this guy's DIY, and you listen to it, sounds fucking beautiful, and I'll be like, hey, let me put this tape in from my DIY days in the '90s. This is what it sounded like doing a DIY. Nowadays is completely different.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Technologies made it easier and cheaper for everybody to record.
Yeah. Now, when
But
it came to you playing your first show, do you remember your first concert that you ever went to? Was that a
I
thing growing
do.
up?
It was. I sort of I have like a trace memory of going to see when I was a kid. I think my parents brought me to see Rafi. You remember Rafi?
Yep.
And he was at like the local high school or something. And I think he was recording there, but I don't necessarily remember that one very much. But I do remember when I was about probably 9 years old, going to a Hootie and the Blowfish concert. Um, because that was one of those CDs that you would get in birthday birthday gift bags, or like given to you for your birthday or something like that. And I remember being kind of obsessed with that record when I was about 9 years old, and I went to see them.
Wow.
Yeah,
So, did you have a hand in picking that Hootie and the Blowfish show, or was it something
yeah,
that
I'm pretty
everybody?
sure. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I wanted it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was like, my mom had good taste. She introduced me to a lot of like the '90s uh, stuff that has stuck around, like the I remember she was really into like Dave Matthews Band and Rusted Root and who else? They're not 90s, but she would play Fleetwood Mac a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, but
Fleetwood
yeah,
Mac's a mother's band, right? I think every
that's
mother had
the
rumors
mother
and
band.
yeah. If you're a mother, you loved that.
Totally.
Now, in all your performing, and you've played so many different places and with so many different bands, is there a moment in time for you that stands out, that you kind of never forget, for good or bad, but a performance that you had that, again, could be good or bad, that just will always maintain that space in your brain?
Yeah, there's a few. One time, I think this was back in like 2009 or 10 or something like that. Um, we got offered an opening slot for the Beach Boys featuring John Stamos
Well,
and
I mean, Uncle Jesse.
Uncle Jesse on
Y-
drums.
Yeah,
He's
Uncle
actually
Jesse and the
pretty.
Rippers. I mean, that would have been good too if you just opened for Uncle Jesse and the Rippers.
Oh, dude, I would have been all about it. Yeah. I remember um, we played and it was cool. It was in Baltimore at Pier 6 Pavilion in Baltimore, and then they played, and then their encore. We were like chilling on the side stage, just kind of watching, having a good time, and the bass player like waved for us to go out onto the stage, and I don't think it was wanted by the entire band, but the bass player who invited us out. So we went out, and I remember our drummer at the time hopped on a second drum set and started playing, and I hopped on like the congas or something, and we just did. Well, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. I think it was like they were playing like Barbara Ann or something like that, some song that doesn't have congas, and I was
Yeah.
just up there like, oh shit, what am I doing? And I can remember John Stamos just looking over at me like, what the fuck are you doing, man? And that will always stick in my head, the look that I got from John Stamos one.
You, you got a sneer from Uncle Jesse. That's awesome.
That's probably not the answer you were looking for, but I just remember that was a very funny moment. Um,
No, it's a great answer.
of all the shows that I've played over the years, that's the answer I give you. But there's been a lot of um, really cool moments where you just sort of like come to, and you're present, and you're like everybody's kind of locked in and with you, and there's something really special about being able to do that. There's a magical thing to it. that never really gets old. Yeah,
Well, that's the drug, right? That that's why you do it. There's nothing else that gives you that feeling. Um,
totally.
when
Yeah, it's a great feeling.
Now, how about music? It plays a huge part in your life. Is there a moment in your life where you may not have been playing, but you just have that soundtrack to that moment that you'll never forget? That something's in the background and it means everything or it means nothing to you.
Mm. Um, so yeah, I mean, I gotta reach back into my brain to figure out a couple times, but I can remember when I was in high school. Um, we used to have this long sort of gravel road that led into this long. It was like a long gravel road in the middle of the woods that we would just go back and park the car and just listen to music and smoke weed and just be middle high schoolers and get away. And I can remember just playing Al Green's greatest hits in
Wow.
my buddy Phil, who is no longer with us. He passed a couple years ago, and so that makes it even more special. That yeah, he used to have this convertible uh, LeBaron. I forget who made LeBaron.
Chrysler?
I think it was Chrysler. Yeah, and we used to pump Al Green in convertible in his convertible LeBaron in the middle of the woods.
Just a couple guys in the middle of the woods listening to some sweet sounds
uh,
of Al Green. Maybe some Teddy
I mean,
Pendergrass in there through. All right.
it was a car. It was a car full. Okay, it wasn't just us two.
All right.
There was um, that's one, and I can remember. Let's see, in the one of the summers I came back from college, I got a job pumping gas on at a marina for boats. And so I would just go out there, and just kind of sit out in the sun all day. And I remember just listening to nothing but like Allman Brothers for like the entire summer, just doing that. So anytime I hear Allman Brothers band, I think of that time in my life, which was right about the time when I started to sort of get a lot more seriously into playing music and playing guitar and trying to figure out how it all worked.
Now, did you have that push over the edge to make you make it work, or was it I'm just going to see if this works out?
um, I think seeing like going and performing at open mics and seeing what the reaction and the feedback, and it kind of built my confidence up to where like I felt like it was something that I was really capable of doing. It seemed, and it still seems to come kind of rather, one of the easier things that in my life that comes to me is music and musicality. So um, just the sort of ease of it was appealing to me, and the fact that I really enjoyed it so much, and it was like it became a part of my personal like reflection, and like in like a meditative sort of way, and like a way that I sort of sorted my own head out and my thoughts out. um I thought, it was just something that I thought was the coolest thing, and that, and then I started realizing that I could, oh, they'll actually pay me to do this, like I can actually gig and they pay me money. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. uh And so from then on, I was just like, yeah, this is what I knew. I knew pretty soon into it that it's what I wanted to do.
No, you going back to when you're in your room and you're quietly cultivating what you want to do. How
Hmm.
did you pick up that? You mentioned reading liner notes and stuff, but how did you pick up the sense to songwriting? Because I've always separated, you know, being a musician and a songwriter a lot of times are completely two different things, but to do it both, I mean, what was your path to figure out how to write songs and make it work?
Yeah. That I don't know. It just came by. That comes from just sort of like, I guess, like knowing where a melody should go or could go. Um, it all has to do with like, you know, being able to find melody, I think, and finding something that um seems to like spark something in you. And as far as like coming up with lyrics and writing lyrics, um, yeah, that was something that I don't know. I just figured, yeah, I just started, I wrote one song and then I was like, oh, okay, I guess I can do this. And it just kind of like became like a muscle that, I mean, a lot of people say that, but it is kind of like a muscle that you just kind of keep working out. And yeah, it's one of those things like being a songwriter where it's it's kind of a magical thing where you can kind of tap in to a bit of like subconscious and stuff, and the harder you try to do it, the harder it is because and it's the hardest thing to do to write a song, to be like, okay, I'm gonna write a song. It has to
Yeah.
just you have to just sort of like put yourself in the right mind frame and the right time and space to let it come to you. Um,
Do
and
you
it,
remember the very first song you ever wrote?
hmm oh yeah, yep. It's a
Do
song
you,
called I think it's a song called Days and Miles. I call it Dazen, Days and Miles. Um,
it's not the worst one we've ever had here. So
yeah. Um, that other than writing battle raps with my friends back in high school, that was my first. That was my first song I think I ever wrote.
wow. Do you still have a recording of it? Did you record it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I still got a recording of it. Yep. We put it out.
Nice.
Yeah. So like pressing strings started as me and my good friend Josh Coutura, who um we ended up. It started as like an acoustic duo where he had a handful of songs and I had a handful of songs, and we ended up living together with like a dozen people in a house at in Ocean City, Maryland one summer. And the guitars just never really got put away. And it was one of the cooler moments or times in my life where you know I knew he played guitar, I knew he wrote songs, and I was like just really excited about being around somebody else who was creative in that way, and that I could sort of learn from and and build off of. So
Well, having that kinship with someone and creating, I guess that's where someone else can love it as much or more than you, and you can kind of feed off of that as well and learn and have those exciting moments when you're playing, pushing that forward to where pressing strings is now.
hmm
What led you to, I guess, the style, or since everything nowadays is genre labeled or subgenre labeled, what led
yeah,
you to the sound that you create now, which I just call it fusion of like seven different genres, and it's soulful, and that's why the people I've met, I've told to listen to them, like, dude, just listen to this brother sing, man. It if it doesn't get directly into your fucking soul, then you're not hearing it correctly.
well, I appreciate that, man. I don't, yeah, it's so hard to like uh put what we do in a genre and put like sort of just to describe it uh in any kind of exact sense, because it is a lot of, it's a ton of what I grew up on. And um
I
I
don't hear
I
any
listen.
Whitney Houston in what you're doing.
Yeah, well, it's there, man, believe me. um Yeah, I mean, I listened to a ton of different stuff growing up. I listened to a lot of like, you know, basically what was popular in the 90s, like, a lot of like golden era hip hop had like R&B hooks and stuff like that, and like old samples of soul music. A lot of that turned me on to old soul music. And then I went down that rabbit hole, and I went down the classic 60s and 70s rock and roll rabbit hole for a long time. And then, um, a lot, and then in like the 2000s, got into, I was into, that's when Jack Johnson first came out, and I thought that was like really different and cool, and it made me feel good and mellow. And like Ben Harper and that whole scene, and like Dispatch and all those bands. I remember, you know, when I was probably 14 or 15 years old, like really digging on that stuff, and learning that music on guitar. And I'm sure that shaped a lot of what I do these days, but probably more than I even realized it. But um, yeah, I guess just keeping my mind open to different styles of music, and trying to decipher what they're doing with the 12 notes, um, and that all affects how I write, and uh, how the band plays. We all have definitely different tastes in music. Nick, the bass player, is more of like a, not like prog, but he definitely likes, sort of like math rock kind of stuff, and like more, funk bass and stuff like that. Justin, our drummer, has a lot of chops in like, just he dabbles, he knows every style of music. So trying to like pinpoint an exact lane for ourselves, and like being like, oh, we're gonna do this, is pretty difficult. And it's kind of just like I have to just sort of let the songwriting determine what it's going to be. And so whatever kind of comes out, I don't know what to call it, but that's what it is.
Well, I mean, that's the problem nowadays. Everybody wants to, especially in the playlist world of today, what genre do you fall under? Is your song 2 minutes and 48 seconds or 3 minutes and 14 seconds? And creating for the love of what you're creating, and just creating a song, and whatever it is when it's done, that's what it is. I appreciate that more than trying to figure out a different way to do it.
Totally. And my favorite bands, and what I guess the one thing that I do sort of try to make a conscious effort of, is I like track to track to sound to be different, a different approach. And like, I don't like it when you keep, one of the worst things I think you can do as a songwriter is keep writing the same song. It just like sort of changing the key, or um, one of my biggest pet peeves about a lot of other songwriters and local songwriters and stuff like that is that they do that, and they write about the same topics, or the same personal struggles and stuff like that, and they don't sort of like switch it up. And that's kind of what I'm always consciously trying to do, is to keep it sort of
Well, it's
interesting
they
for
call
me
it
and the
the
listener.
formula, right? They call it the formula. Like, they
Hmm.
found their formula,
Like,
and that's what I'm going to stick to.
yeah, yeah. I'm trying not to do that. I'm
Yeah.
trying real hard not to do that.
Well, you can tell, because I mean, on, your latest album came out, "And I for You."
Hmm.
It is, there's something for everyone. I feel. I mean, every song could probably be labeled and put into a different genre, because it gives an opportunity to the listener to figure out what it is that they're going to fall in love with, and
Hmm.
what you're doing. And you can tell that when you listen to the album, that there's, every song is different, and there's something for everyone there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm glad you think so. That's what we're going for.
And if someone had never heard of your band before, and they said, "Hey, play me a song or two of yours that would best describe what you're trying to accomplish," what song or songs would you play for them?
That's a good one. Well, I guess for this record, let's just keep it. If I'm playing it for this record, since this is the first album this lineup has done with our newest drummer, Justin, I would say, um, hmm,
I know it's hard. It's called your pick your favorite child segment of the show.
yeah, yeah, when they're all kind of different. I would say, I think I would play "We Will Be All Right" off the new record, and then. mm, let's see, maybe Down for You, and We Will Be All Right. I think those are pretty unique to us, and they would whoever I played it for would get a kind of an idea of what we're doing. I think.
Nice. Yeah, I always like to gauge that because I think the artist and creator will pick something different than someone else. Who's listening to it would play for somebody else. It's always I always find it crazy sometimes if I'm way different or if I'm exactly the same with an artist of what you play for
Yeah,
somebody.
yeah. It's weird being it's just approaching it from a different perspective. From my perspective, it's hard to be like, oh, this one really sums up the band. I don't. It's hard to get myself out of the mindset of the songwriter and getting myself in the mindset of the listener sometimes.
You just recently mentioned, following some of your favorite bands. Now, I'm going to take that word favorite and twist it. Like, who are one or two bands in your life that you constantly find yourself going back to, and they never let you down. They're always there when you need them, and it's always something that you find yourself going back to.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's funny because I this past week, um, I sort of found myself going, and I've always go back to people who make just like records that are you just don't skip a song. Those are the bands that I uh really love and admire and try to be like. I really like Mason Jennings. You know who Mason Jennings is?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Yeah, I think he just makes some of the best records and some of the best sounding records. That sort of I always kind of go back to and can always find something there. Um, let's see.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that you said that I think people don't truly understand how hard it is to do it, like that unskippable record. When I first started the show, I used to do, give me your unskippable record, and it's so hard because sometimes, especially when you have the conversation, I've had conversations around fire pits talking about this, and someone would be like, oh, well, this is an unskippable album, and I'll pull out a song from it and be like, really, but with this, they're like, oh, well, yeah. I'm like, because it is really hard. Like, it's a huge accomplishment to create something. Like in my lifetime of what I grew up on, like I always start with, if it's not, Led Zeppelin, it's like Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction is unskippable. Like I'm like, that's where
Mhm.
my barometer starts. I'm like, you pull anything off of that album, like you can't. My favorite song on that album is Rocket Queen. It's the last song on the album, and it's a song that they weren't even going to put on it. And I'm like, so that's just how perfect of it is, and it's so hard to find, and especially for other people too. When you get into that conversation, and people are like, well, I would take this off. I'm like, well, let's play it 10 times and see if you would actually take it off.
Yeah. See if you don't fall in love with something about it. And what's
Yeah.
funny about that record is that then they hold up in I think it was Sunset Studios for I don't know, some crazy amount of years trying to make the follow up to that. Or whatever Chinese democracy was that.
Well, yeah, that was
It's so
yeah.
hard to follow up. It's so hard to follow up when you make something so perfect like that. But
Well, they did
Um,
that '90s thing too. They made a double album, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 after that, and it was like,
hmm
okay, I can put together a decent album out of these two, and then yeah, Chinese Democracy, and again, there's so many different things that come into play when creating a record, right? Like when they created that, they were young, they were going after it, it was all recorded live. They were all playing their instruments, and it was recorded and tracked live,
hmm
and that just brings to a different level to then when you're trying
And then
to
they
do
probably
something
did it
different.
quickly. They
Yeah,
probably didn't even like take time to even think about it. They just did it, and that's how the best stuff gets made. I feel
definitely.
like. Yeah. Another one of those. I think that first Bonnie Iver record is always the one that I can go back to and sort of get something from. I'm a big fan of Justin Vernon and what he does. Um, but
He's one
there's
of
so many.
those prodigies, right? I always look at Justin Vernon as like, if you listen to Bon Iver and then you listen to Justin's crazy awesome singing voice, it's like, fuck, he can. I guess he can do anything.
Yeah, and it's just so unique. And again, he probably just didn't even like toil over it. He probably, you know, did a couple takes and got it.
It,
But
and Bon Iver, like a Sigur Rós, like these are bands that always, to me, I'm always amazed at how big it gets, right? I think they're fantastic. I absolutely love them, but I always felt, especially you go down that road, I'm like, this is for probably a small group of people that are going to enjoy this.
hmm
Even though I love it, I'm like, and then to see how massive it gets, it's like, wow. Like
yeah,
it always blows my mind, things like that, because I always think it's a unique sound. Bon Iver's a unique sound. Sigur Rós is a unique sound. There's so many things that are unique about certain bands that it always amazes me when they get to the level that they get, and I'm just like so impressed. I'm like, I guess they just did their fucking thing, and people fell in line, and we're just like, all right, I'm in.
yeah. It's like that book, that Malcolm Gladwell book, that The Tipping Point. It's like, how does that, just this like, why does everybody feel the same way about something that's so unique? And yeah, like you said, you think you know people, and you're like, oh well, they won't like this, but then they love it, and it's like, yeah, it's an interesting concept, and why everybody should just try to be true to themselves, because that there wasn't anything else that sounded like Bonnie Iver came out. That's why I think it was just like, what is this? What do you
Yeah.
even call this music? But yeah.
All right, rapid fire. World's gonna end in 5 minutes. You have time to listen to one song. What song would you listen to?
um uh how about I would listen to like Donny Hathaway uh from his live album. He has one of the best live albums ever. His version of "You Got a Friend" is beautiful. The whole crowd's, I forget where they taped it, but the entire crowd just sounds, they just take over the entire performance, and they're singing. They sound like a 400 person choir, just killing it. And you get like goosebumps hearing it. So that's one I think I would say.
Wow, nice. Do you remember what you were listening to the day you got your driver's license?
No, I don't.
Wow.
I wish I did. That's a good question though. What were you listening
I was listening to Screeching Weasel, "You Are My Sunshine" cover.
to?
Punk, yeah. I remember it because I was so excited to go drive and pick up a friend right after I got my license, and I was just so giddy. And my birthday's in May, so it was beautiful outside. Sun was out, and I was so excited.
That's awesome.
Do you listen to a specific type of music that people would be really surprised? I mean, you already hit on like hanging out with your boys, listening to Al Green in the fucking woods, but like,
Hmm.
is there like a genre or an artist that people would be really surprised that you get tons of enjoyment out of? Like, do you listen to the Wiggles while working around the house, like something like that?
Not the Wiggles. That's definitely not the Wiggles. Hmm. I don't know if people would be surprised. I mean, I like sort of like jazz sample hip hop kind of stuff.
Okay,
I can always sort of listen to that, like the Tribe Called Quest and the Far Side and uh,
now you're talking my
Outcast,
language. De La Soul,
De La Soul, yeah, all that stuff that
yeah.
was, on the really artistic and positive side of hip hop. That was I think is like some of the best music ever made.
I- It,
No,
it is compared to today's world of what's considered hip hop. You know, I try to school some younger people and say, hey, if you're really digging this, I go here. Let's start, sort of towards the beginning and
yeah,
see the difference and how important what they were doing was and how great it was, and it still holds up to this day. You know,
oh yeah,
there's no crazy mics and auto tune and crazy shit in it. It's just real.
yeah, and to learn how they were actually doing that stuff, it's super fascinating. Also, it's just like the genius behind it. People like Jay Dilla and just like how just that approach at making music by literally just spending hours and hours digging through crates and listening to random music and then taking samples and then putting them together like a big collage. And it was just a really interesting art form. And I think that there was an era there that it was just like untouchable as far as music goes.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're in the middle of a day here, so I don't want to take too much more of your time. But before we go to our final segment of the show, which is our weekly three things that you're listening to,
Hmm.
I'd love to give you the opportunity to tell everybody how to find Pressing Strings, how to keep up with what you're doing, how to buy your merch, how to do all that stuff that actually keeps a band going.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. You just go to www.pressingstrings.com, our website, and you'll be able to find access to everything there. And social media is king these days, so you'll be able to get onto our Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff that keeps people updated about upcoming shows and merchandise and new music and all that stuff.
We got some pretty dope merch too, people. I bought a shirt
Did you?
because it was
Awesome, man.
awesome. Yeah, I bought the
Which one'd
headphone
you get?
shirt, the
Headphone one, the
blue
blue one?
headphone. Yeah,
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 that's a cool one. I like that one.
yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
Well, listen, I'm one of those guys. I've long at this game to know that, man, that shirt money is nowadays more important than anything else. And if I appreciate a band and I like a band, my wife kind of picks on me because I think I have 30 Rubbermaids filled with concert T-shirts. But
That's
that's
awesome.
if that's the way I can show my support, that's what I'm gonna do.
That's huge. Yeah, you said it, man. That's yeah, it's rough out here for musicians and artists these days, and when you can sort of take the middleman out of it and become your own salesman, that's the best way to keep touring because it's expensive out there to hit the road and hit the pavement. There was a Yeah, that's the best way. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, if my little bit, I also bought a CD. So it's, and my wife looked at me and she's like, "You're buying a CD?" I'm like, "You see my studio? I'm filled with CDs. I still have my 6 disc changer. I will listen
hell,
to the CD." And then,
hell
of
yeah.
course, I've listened to it a bunch since then, preparing myself to have an awesome guy like you on the show. So,
Well, man, that's awesome. No, I appreciate it.
Well, we truly appreciate what it is you do, and what you do matters. And I don't think artists get told that enough. There's people out there that love you. There's people out there that love your music, and they've attached themselves to it for one reason or another. So, our mantra is keep creating. We'll keep listening, and it's important what you do, and I hope you understand how important it is and how much you are revered and loved for what you do. So thank you for that.
Oh man, yeah, that's we do need to hear that, man. It's yeah, it's we do it for that reason and for to connect people and to have people sort of find uh personal reasons to connect to it and to listen to your stuff and attachment to it. So it's really nice to hear that. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And this is proof it connected with me because you're here and now we're talking. So that's what's awesome about it. That's why
Hell
I
yeah.
say thank you personally.
Of course, man.
Well, we're in our final segment. It's 3 things that you're listening to that you would like people to check out. You give your 3, then I give my 3.
Oh, damn. I'm terrible with these kinds of questions. uh, I I just want to preface this with I have uh, I have 3 young girls who I'm constantly at the mercy of what they want to listen to. So uh,
Well,
I
you
have to
listen. You, you don't have to put all the pressure on your children's choices, okay? You can enjoy it as well.
Now, there's no enjoying Kids Bop for me. Okay, there's no enjoying it. I'm gonna. The first 2 are the 2 that I mentioned earlier. Is so I would say Mason Jennings. Listen to I think Use Your Voice is the record that when I first heard about him. That's one of those records that I don't think there's a skipper on it. And then also Donny Hathaway's Live. I think it's just called Live. I would listen to that. And then, hmm, um, I'll prop a local Baltimore band. I would listen to this band called Super City. They just put out some new music. I would check that out.
All right. Nice. Super City. All right. My 3 for this week. First one is a pop punk band out of Asheville, North Carolina called Kerosene Heights. The name of the album is Southeast of Somewhere. Number 2 is a band called Eaten by Snakes. The name of the album is Peace and Love. They're like a synth punk band from Germany. And last but not least, a band called The Low Tones. The name of the album is Front Row Empty. Kind of a new wave-ish band from the UK. Really totally digging on them right now.
Awesome. What was the last one? The Oat Tones?
The Low Tones. One
Low
word.
Tones.
Low Tones. LOWTONES.
Very cool. I'm gonna check that out.
But again, Jordan, thank you so much for being here. We truly appreciate it. So awesome to watch you perform live. I hope more people listen to this and rush out to see you guys live because it was a sight to behold. And I was taken aback, never hearing of you guys before, and now you got a fan for life. So it's awesome what you do, and thank you for what it is you do, man.
Hey Shane, I appreciate it. Same back to you, man. Thank you for what you do, and it's a pleasure being on your podcast, man.
But everybody, you know what time it is now. It's time to go out, listen to Pressing Strings, and have a great fucking time.
It's hard to tell that the world is turning. It's hard to chill when it's so concerning. Through the air where the smoke is churning, I am an open mind that yearns for a place in the yard where the flowers bloom. High in the castle in the corner room. Well, sing with me now, we will be alright. Sing with me now, we will be alright. I plan
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.